Hello, Soul Fam. And today we are going to be talking about something that is really close to my heart. And I see a lot of confusion in the collective regarding this currently. I wanted to talk about the concept of decision making in terms of relationship, specifically speaking, love relationship, romantic relationships. Yes. This episode, I will love to share a little bit of my journey of what kind of relationships I've had and the kind of lessons I've learned, and also to give you a little clarity on what an ideal relationship could look like, a conscious relationship could look like. There are no ideal relationships in the dimension of ignorance, really. You can only experience the depth of connection in a relationship as much as you've gone within. So, the first key is your relationship with yourself is what will be projected and reflected to you by your most loved person or the person you might be in a relationship or a situationship with or whatever it is in this dynamic, so to speak. So, this is the first thing that you need to know. You are the projector of your whatever is going inside, however you see yourself, however you feel about yourself. The other person can only exaggerate that kind of feeling. So if you function on the frequency of self love, you love yourself, you respect your boundaries, then you would be attracting people. You would even be coming across people who are interested in you, who have the same kind of self love for themselves, same kind of respect for boundaries for themselves and thus others, and maybe same kind of conflict resolution also. Well, it's a journey, of course, but that is something that is not in your control, really. It's on them. But what you can do, what is in your hands, is to establish a great relationship with yourself, with your inner child, with the soft aspect of you, with all aspects of you. Bring them to light, neutralize the negative energy, change the belief systems, negative belief systems into positive belief systems. That is totally in your hands. But you become a magnet for such people, function on your frequency. And you don't need to know your shadow aspects consciously, but the person who would be coming into your life would know them on some level that even they might not be conscious about. Okay, I didn't think that this is going to be a little bit on the dark side, but let's just put it out there. Victims attract abusers, abusers attract victims, and they're a perfect match to learn the lessons that both of them have sought out to do. Sought out to learn on a deeper level, on a soul level. I can testify to this myself. So I had a narcissistic father, and so that was my idea of love, slavery in one form. And of course, then it comes with its own set of bombing, love bombing, and charming. And in the romantic aspect, it functions like that. And then get attracted to another person who is sort of reflecting the same idea that you have of love. So if your idea of love has that dimension of victim mentality, powerlessness, and his will over my will, no boundaries. I'm a cog in his life. I'm here to step as an extension to him, not as an individual person, full whole. And then the same thing gets reflected when we meet somebody, and it might not be obvious on the first date, but many things will start eventually opening up, which is basically our own shadow aspects, internally what we feel about ourselves and how deserving we think of ourselves. The same shall be reflected by the other. Interestingly enough, what I have learned in my life, I was lucky enough to manifest somebody who loved me more than I could love myself, which I feel might not be true, but I just, how I've made sense of this is that there must be a part of me that loved me enough to even put me into contact with somebody who could love me more than I could ever love them, at least at that stage when we met. And of course, there are many things that there might be, but I thank my lucky stars every day to have met my guru, who taught me what love is and who taught me what unconditionality means and what is possible for a human to experience, the levels of depth, respect, integrity, connection that can be felt today in real time, today can be felt on earth. And this is not something this is something you would never trade for the best of riches of this world, really, because this kind of love fulfills and nourishes your soul to such a deep extent. It's like you're jumping and up and down with joy and spreading joy and celebrating and dancing and spiraling with joy like kids do swirl. They swirl when they're really happy and excited, run around and jumping and chasing butterflies and fireflies. And it's that kind of emotion. There's so much lightheartedness, expansion, connection, grounding, safety, security, support to be experienced by all of us. We can experience this through a connection with somebody else. But of course, first step is you must experience, at least start to explore that kind of that love, that dimension of your shadow, the things that stop you from loving yourself, looking at yourself in the eyes, facing yourself, which in turn becomes a magnet for all sorts of addictions and distractions, because we don't want to look at ourselves. We sort of start hating and think such bad thoughts about who we are. They run on loops and they come up sporadically, or maybe most of the times, the inner critic, that if you commit a mistake, you did a little bit of mistake, maybe you spilled some water on the floor, and your mind might say, "You're so stupid." That kind of narration, which you would never say to your child, hopefully. But we treat ourselves like this. So, and then it gets manifested in a partner. And then we really question, well, then we get into blame mode. If we haven't started working on ourselves, then we get into blame mode. He's the one who's doing this with me. That's why I'm feeling this way. But no, actually, what really was happening, you already were feeling that way. That's why he came into your life. And to show to you as a teacher that you don't need to feel this way about yourself, and just make a choice and choose love and choose to respect yourself, choose to accept your mistakes, choose to be a little bit kinder and softer to yourself, as you would want your best parent to act when you commit a mistake. So, yes, a fair amount of self parenting is involved in this journey. So, the first thing is that whatever you think about yourself, you will manifest people who are operating on that frequency. If you operate on self love, you will attract people who love themselves and then love you. And if you operate on the frequency of self hate, you'll attract people who hate themselves and thus hate you. And then that manifests in all sorts of weird negative experiences. If you start taking care of your in a relationship, so much power and connection is to be had even without a partner. And then you are in the right space to attract a partner really. So, as I also talk to people, and what I'm seeing in the collective, many, especially people in their 20s, 30s, and even maybe 40s, who are looking for a partner, I don't think that's the right way of going about it. The question for me comes, why are you looking for it? I mean, of course, it might be relevant in some aspects, but the question that I would ask from such a person, what is the void that you're trying to fill with a partner? So, what is the thing that you're trying to distract yourself from, which is inside you that you're not ready to face? And if you just are honest enough, and if you know that all your powers are hiding behind this question, and you are honest and open to listening to an answer and a little bit passive and allow the answer to come, you will know what is the void that you're trying to fill with a partner. Why are you trying to distract yourself from you? And once you start facing that, changing that, working with that, then you can really start to choose yourselves, love yourselves, and start feeling the same feeling that you would feel spending time with the person you love the most. The best possible imagination that you can do of what a loving, connected, supportive, stable relationship would look for you, which by the way is not for everybody. But yes, for most of them, if whatever your idea is, if you start tapping into your ideal relationship with yourself, soon enough you will start attracting people who also have worked on themselves and are sort of in an ideal love relationship with themselves. And then, oh my god, the level of connection you can feel. But of course, it's a process, it's a journey. It also takes some time. For example, in my case, what happened was I did not love myself enough. But of course, there's a part of me that wanted to learn and grow and knew that I need to look inside for answers. And so I could attract a partner into my life, my twin flame, my guru, who had already done a lot of work on himself and who actually loved himself. At least he was far ahead in terms of self love from where I was. So, in the beginning phase of my relationship, the kind of problem that I was experiencing was, why is he loving myself so much? He must be stupid because I'm not worth loving. There must be something he wants from me. Because why would somebody love somebody else like this much? Why would somebody else trust somebody like this and this much in such a small span of time? So those were the kind of questions that were popping in my subconscious and conscious mind. which I had to do. Oh my God, so much inner work and shadow work I had to do on my mental body, emotional body, belief systems, and physically, and many things I had to change, acting differently, and really tapping into my shadows and why I act the way I did, and went into this whole journey of spiritual awakening through this. And you know what happened interestingly? Manifested a partner, though I was functioning more or less on the frequency of guilt, shame, and hurt, self loathing, judgment of self, you're not good enough, you will never be enough, you can never achieve anything of value. That was one of the narrative that was there. And the other, of course, there was another light narrative also. Somewhere deep down it was there, which came up periodically. And maybe that was the aspect which attracted that kind of a person into my life. Many things are also predestined. And thank God they are. So then he came into my life and he really loved me. He showed me what love is. Because my parents, of course, they loved me in their own way, but they had too much shadow aspects to be, to be dealt with that they hadn't dealt with. So they had a lot of disconnect between their inner child and themselves. So only they can only give me that kind of experience which they are already giving to their heart and their inner child. They did their best, whatever they could. I'm extremely thankful. But yes, so I had a fair share to learn about what love is, and I'm still learning, and I think it's an ever evolving concept. But I realized the depths of self nourishment and fulfillment that one person can experience in this life, being a human in these departments. So I met him. We got together, and everything sort of started happening really quickly. Then we got married within 4 months, and then we got pregnant few months later. Child 9 months later. My daughter, oh my God, so amazing. She's so amazing, magical. What started happening was I got into repel mode. You don't deserve to be in somebody who hates themselves so much in my life. And it was not the most obvious description to, because I had to do a lot of shadow work to see that I am repelling him. I'm repelling his love because I don't think I'm worthy enough for it. So I either think he's blind or stupid to be loving somebody like me because I'm so worthless to be loved. That was the kind of description that was going in my head. That was working, the belief that was working and attracting people into my life. And another dimension of attachment was also opening that I've felt this value and respect. I've never felt such level of respect and value being given to me by anybody in my life. I didn't even know it was possible. So I must stick to him. So that was another shadow aspect that came up fairly quickly, that I got so much love I'm getting. I just got like a small kid and got fully attached. And attachment is not a good thing, guys. As much as we try to popularize this idea and merge it with love, it is just the opposite of love. It's masquerading as love. It's not at all love. It's exploitation and possession and objectifying and using and misusing and manipulating the loved one whom we are attached to. And it has all sorts of shadow aspects. But yeah, of course, they would function if you haven't done your work. So I got into repel mode from him. And I repel, oh, go. And I tried every possible way why he should not be with me and started trying to attract situations which would eventually lead to our breakup. And it did happen. I was successful in this aspect. I got fully crazy and I finally pushed him to the limit. And until he said, okay, I give up finally. But he did not stop loving me. So that's how Guru's grace work, I feel. And also a person who really loves themselves. That's how their love work for all involved actually. Not just their loved one. They are like that with all people. You cannot just be loving to one person. You become loving as you become loving to yourself. You become loving for all things, everything, and your dimension of love starts spreading to strangers and faraway relatives and friends and enemies and then inanimate objects, nature and creatures and everything. But yeah, that was a tangent. So I got into repel mode, but he still stuck around sort of with he kept his distance but helped guide me to my light. And eventually I started loving myself. After that breakup happened, my God, that is when the true me started to I was pushed to the limit and I was just pushed by existence in the right direction to really see inside for love. And then I did find it. And here I am sharing that with you, telling you with conviction that you also have it inside you. If you only look for it, it is a journey. It is a journey, but you are fully guided, fully protected, fully loved by existence, by the trees around, by nature, by even people in your life who resemble that kind of love to you, and anything. You have your imagination also to help you visualize what your ideal love relationship would feel like. And then you can master that feeling and start trying to feel that in your life on a daily basis. This could be a very helpful practice. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes is good enough. 4 5 minutes is good enough to fully get into that energy of love. So, okay, so this is your actionable for today. You just sit, breathe, relax, close your eyes, and just relax. Take a few deep breaths and start imagining or saying in your head or even out loud the attributes that you would give to describe your ideal relationship, how you would feel in your best love relationship. For example, let me just give you a brief example. For example, if I would sit and do this exercise, I would feel connected. I would feel stable. I will feel, and it's not even about saying will. I feel stable. I feel connected, supported, held, comfortable, yet excited, fully nourished, fully appreciated, fully valued for my presence, and I would value them for their presence. Fully like a support system for my loved one, and also experience their support. Amazing. And then you can give, of course, all sorts of specifics to it. Don't get too deep into it, but just, just get the good emotion, good vibration going. And that is what we are trying to do with this exercise. We are not trying to mold reality and pull such kind of people to us. Nothing of that sort. We are just gently exploring the idea of what it feels to be in the best love relationship. And then slowly and gradually, we must start giving that to ourselves. So that is our first responsibility. It's to ourselves. And then you'll start attracting people. You'll be so surprised and amazed the kind of people who are reaching out to you on Tinder or Hinge or whatever, however you're trying to connect with people or whoever you are with. You'll either start to see that this is just not the person that kind of reflects that vibration. You'll just start getting guidance and start listening to that nudges. That's why you need your intuition, which actually knows what is best for you. And then you can slowly and gradually attract the kind of partner at the right time into your life. So I think this is in I think this is enough for today. So while making decisions in this regard, I've only explored the first step, and then I see all sorts of questions in the collective about what about situationships, what about if I'm halfway there, halfway here. Many questions are there, and I would be answering these questions also in my future episodes. But at least decide this much for now, and you can just give yourself some time, and the right person can come. No need to be so desperate regarding love, because desperation will lead you to people who are desperate themselves for love, and God, it's going to be a mess. So you better sort your mess out first, and then you can attract people who are not that messy, or at least you have that space to at least hold their mess, give them space, loving space enough to work on their mess, and you can work on your mess together. So that would be a very beautiful relationship. I also told you that I wanted to share about how I feel in my relationship, whatever it is, with my twin flame, with my guru, with my dearest friend, with my spiritual friend, Guru Bai, as we call it in our tradition. I really have no words to describe. It's like you are hollow. The visual that I'm getting, I'll just give you a brief visual to describe my relation and what I feel like. There's hollow, like a hollow bamboo or a hollow stick, and then the entire stick is being filled with the most magnificent pink energy, golden energy, rainbow of the colors of the rainbow, and it is so nourishing, soul satisfying. It sort of, brings your faith back in God. Like if people like that exist, and a person like me coming from the depths of despair and disconnection can experience this kind of love so early on in my life. I know it is possible for all of you guys. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been attracted to this episode either. This is a confirmation for you. You deserve this kind of love, and you need not go outside and find partners. Go inside and find your internal partner, which you are, and become that partner for yourself first. That's your first duty towards yourself, and then the emotions will start pulling to you the right person. So I will share more about my relation later, but it's not so much about him. It's about how I feel when I'm with myself, and how I treat myself when I commit mistakes, and how loving and cushiony and supportive I am towards myself. People usually don't go after their dreams. More and more people would in the future, but they don't, because they don't trust themselves. They don't bet on themselves. I am betting on myself starting this podcast. I don't care who watches it. I know this information needs to go out, and this is what I'm supposed to do, and this is what I really enjoy. This is one little aspect of what I'm supposed to do here. And I'm doing it with confidence. I'm totally betting on myself and all of you to go find that inner partner for yourself first. And then that itself will clear all your doubts about who, what, where, your ideal external reflection of your internal relationship in the form of a person would be. Wow, that's a great way of describing it. Thank you. So, yes, I hope this brings a lot of clarity to the decision making aspect of in the loving relationships, romantic relationships, and we'll discuss further. And listen, I've made 2 other episodes about automatic writing, which helps you connect to your intuition, and also given a big 3-legged framework to start building upon your going inward journey, spiritual journey, or confident decision making journey, whatever you want to call it, connecting to your intuition and self love, creating your dream life. Yes, that would be another way of describing it. So, that could be incredibly helpful for you to listen to. So, go ahead and listen to them as well if that resonates. Otherwise, you already have gotten one exercise to do with this. Go for it and continue it for at least a week and then tell me the magic that happens. Then thank me later. Yes. So much love to you. It's like I'm giving an energetic hug to all of you listening to this. I'm so proud of all of you that you have, somewhere must have listened to the call of your heart, which is why a person like me could come into your life. And I'm so excited about the journeys and contribution you'll make to the whole world and the people around you and to yourself first in this life. Much love. Take care. And yes, stay connected. Bye bye. And follow this podcast.